Do you have a message, Mr. President, for women who were protesting outside the White House yesterday?
Yes, keep protesting, because keep making your point. It's critically important. We can do a lot of things to accommodate the rights of women in the meantime, but fundamentally, the only thing that's going to change this is if we have a national law that reinstates Roe v. Wade.
Your husband tweeted after Justice Brett Kavanaugh left a Washington restaurant due to protesters. The tweet reads, "Sounds like he just wanted some privacy to make his own dining decisions." Is that appropriate, sir?
Look, when public officials go into public life, we should expect two things. One, you should always be free from violence, harassment, and intimidation. And two, you're never going to be free from criticism or peaceful protest, people exercising their First Amendment rights. Okay. And that's what happened in this case. Remember, the justice never even came into contact with these protesters, reportedly didn't see or hear them. And these protesters are upset because a right, an important right, that the majority of Americans support was taken away.
There is speculation among some Democrats and some Republicans that President Biden won't run for re-election in 2024. What's your message to those who say that?
Listen to President Biden. He intends to run. And if he does, I intend to run with him. So there you go.
So what now, though?
We need to understand that states are passing laws because of what the Supreme Court has now allowed to happen. So what does this mean? It means that we're looking at elections coming up in 120-something days. They're going to be about who serves in Congress, and we need a pro-choice Congress.
So let me ask a simple question this way. What do you attribute to the fact that 3/4 of the country feel like the country's headed in the wrong direction? How much of it is economic in your view?
I think quite a bit of it is economic, and specifically, I think it's inflation. So, look, obviously, it's frustrating. If you were to ask me, what do I think of the economy? I'd say we have a very strong economy.
Biden was elected to restore competency and stability to Washington after Donald Trump. But his job approval trails other recent presidents, including Trump, at this point in the election cycle. After a lingering pandemic, the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, failure to stem rising costs, failure to pass voting rights legislation, and a failure to substantially address climate change or immigration challenges.
It's tough for people. That's why it's the president's #1 priority. It's our #1 priority to get a handle on these prices. And we will. The Fed is taking strong action. Our president's administration, we're doing everything we know how to do.
The possibility of a recession. Can we avoid a recession if interest rates keep climbing?
Good morning, George. Good to be with you. I think we can. So let me say this. The economy in the past year and a half has been growing at unprecedentedly high rates, 5-6%. I don't think that we should expect that. Right. I think it's normal to think that as we continue to come out of the pandemic, we will transition to a robust growth, but a more steady growth. So I do think at some point, we will see a less rapid growth in the economy. But I don't see any reason to think that we will have a serious recession.
President Biden continues to pass the blame and pass the buck on inflation. Here's the president yesterday.
We got a long way to go because of inflation, because of I call it the Putin tax increase. Putin, because of gasoline and all that grain he's keeping from being able to get to the market. Now I'm fighting like hell to lower costs on things that you talk about around your kitchen table. Well, Republicans do nothing to obstruct our efforts to lower your gas taxes. I propose that. I've asked the Congress to eliminate the federal gas tax for as long as this crisis goes on.
Is it the Republicans' fault that we are looking at 40-year high inflation?
Joe Biden is completely outrageous. They're engaging in fantasy economics. The idea that he would blame Vladimir Putin or blame the Republicans or blame, as he did the last several days, people who run convenience stores and actually supply the gas to consumers. They're trying to shift the blame to everybody, Maria, but it's clearly his fault. It's his policies that have gotten us here. And even his gas tax holiday idea has been panned by top Democrats in Congress, so it's absurd.
Yeah. No, I know we have an inflation timeline, and we know exactly when inflation started moving higher. It was at 1.4% when Joe Biden walked into the White House. Joe Biden reportedly sent 5 million barrels of oil from American reserves. This is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. He sent 5 million barrels of oil to Europe and to Asia, including China, where people here at home are suffering soaring gasoline prices. He's talking about this being his magic bullet to get gasoline prices down, unleashing all of this oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which President Trump filled up at $30 oil, apparently. And yet the oil went to Europe and Asia. So can you explain this?
No one can explain it. That headline should make every American irate. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve, of course, is there to protect our country in the event of an unforeseeable event. It is not the personal energy slush fund of the president. And yet he's done it now. He's used it 3 times, drained it 3 times to try to get himself out of the crisis that his own policies have created. Now that's creating a new danger for us, because now the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is drained. It's at about 30% of where it needs to be. They're not filling it back up. So he's adding more peril to the American people and more pain at the pump. It's ridiculous.
Wow. That is a great point. More decisions that are affecting American families, one bad decision after the next, unfortunately.